Assalamu alaikum, welcome back to my channel. In this video, I would like to discuss how I converted or reverted to Islam a couple of months ago and what led me to that decision and how with it right now and everything in between. So, if you have watched previous videos of mine, especially during Ramadan last year, you may know that I have always had a strong connection to Islam, and I've always felt very inspired by it and very attracted to it. I have always had a sense that it was sort of in my blood to Muslim, but it somehow didn't manifest as I was born or I was raised as a Christian, and it was up to me, and I was guided back towards Islam. So I genuinely think that we were indeed all born as Muslims, and then the way we were raised and the decisions we take in our lives are what, decide whether or not we come back to Islam. So that was it for me. I always knew I wanted to become Muslim, but I kind of postponed my taking my Shahada, and the reason for that was there were multiple reasons. But one of those was that I didn't feel I knew enough about it. I thought, as a Muslim, you kind of have a responsibility to be able to answer questions when someone who may not know as much as you wants to learn more about Islam. You should probably know something as well. So I thought, okay, before taking my Shahada, I have to learn more. Also for myself, obviously. It's not just so you can answer questions to others, but it's also so that you yourself are, through all the knowledge you have, very aware of why Islam is your religion. So it was really about how I didn't feel like I had enough knowledge. So that is one of the reasons why I kind of postponed taking my Shahada. And another reason was because it's kind of similar, but I didn't necessarily feel good enough as a person, because I don't know to go into that as much, but I just thought I felt like I had to be this perfect being before taking my Shahada, because I wanted to be perfect in front of God, And obviously there is no such thing, but it took me a while to realize that. So that realization eventually came, and it was a gradual process in combination with the other reason why I finally decided to take my Shahada, and that is because I had this growing fear. I kept on thinking, oh, what if I died right now? Because that could happen. I grew this thing inside of me where the reason why I kept fearing death more and more each day was just because I feared of dying, not to have lived or died as a Muslim. That was basically the biggest reason why I eventually did take my Shahada, because I still had this thing in my brain telling me I wasn't ready because I didn't know enough, or I wasn't as good as a person as I would like to be, or I did this still wrong, or this still wrong. There was this voice, probably Shaitan, in my head saying, don't do it, you're good like this, you can just take it later, do it later. And I ended up not listening to that voice because of that desire to start living as a Muslim. Also, another thing that I think really helped me with taking this decision is because it just really made sense to me. Because I was, in a lot of ways, I was already living like a Muslim person would live. So I wasn't drinking, I wasn't dressing immodestly, and being very aware of how I was speaking to other people, of how I was treating other people. I participated in the Ramadan. I gave zakat. So over the years, there have influences on me by, I would say, multiple, not necessarily religions, but ways of living life. Because I was looking for the way to live your life. And this goes back to when I was 10 or 11 years old, and I was in middle school, and I had just heard about how you can choose to take a gap year in between high school and university. So I heard about that as a 10-year-old, and I thought, I'm going to take a gap year. And I already knew I wanted to do that on that age. And the reason for that is I heard that you could go explore, travel the world. And I kind of associated traveling the world with finding yourself, which is very stereotypical, but probably something that you could do, right? Because people go to Asia and meditate and find themselves. That people do. And I wanted to do that as well. And the reason for that is because as a child, I kept asking people what they think the meaning of their existence was. Why are you specifically, why are you here? So basically, I was wondering, what is the purpose of our existence, and who am I as an individual in this crazy big world with all these other people? I didn't feel like anyone had a good answer. I noticed that the people that I asked that question, they didn't give satisfactory answers, not because I didn't like the answers, but because they themselves didn't have a satisfactory answer for themselves. So basically, they didn't have an answer, and they mumbled something thinking that would be enough. Basically, I realized that the question of who we are, why we are here, and what the meaning of all this is kind of a neglected question, which is, if you don't want to think about that, that's fine, you do you, it's your life. But I thought, I can't accept this. I had this desire to completely and utterly know who I was for like 100%. So on the one hand, I really wanted to get to know who I am. So have like a good answer to the question, who are you? Why are you here? What is the meaning of your existence? And at the same time, to have peace with that answer, because I could not make peace with the question, why are you here? And an answer, I am here because there has been a number of, apes who became human, and I'm just here because of chance, and I'm just gonna make the most of it, but there's not really any real purpose to my existence except for procreation and, I don't know, whatever people answer these days. I could not make peace with that answer. So I was looking for an answer to who am I and why am I here? And on the other hand, have peace with that answer. Should be a good enough answer for me to actually believe it. So as a child, I had the question, why am I here? Who am I? And I want to have an answer that gives me peace. And I kind of manifested that, actually. I wish I could have the diary in which I wrote it in, but I lost it somewhere. But it literally said, I want to take a gap year after high school, and I want to find peace, and I want to know myself. And I did not take that gap year after high school, but I took it this year, which is after I graduated from my bachelor. So it had a 3-year delay, but now, a decade later, I did take that gap year, and I did find peace through Islam, because Islam is literally translating to peace. And I did understand what my purpose is, who I am as an individual, and, what I should be doing with my life. So my greatest manifestation up until this day has to be that I wanted to find peace as a child, and I found Islam as a young adult. I don't know what I am, but yeah, I know what I am. I'm a servant of God. Okay. Anyways, oh yeah, and I wanted just to quickly go over the process that it took, or the journey that I took before ending up with Islam. So there were many influences from different ways of living life that try to, actually answer that question that I had as a kid. And I wrote it down. Wait. I didn't travel the world. I did not explore new places, except for places inside my head. Without really moving my body, I've explored more than I've ever done before. I didn't need the eat, pray, love journey. Just that something inside me longing for less. And that one book. Multiple books, actually. I think it was when I started uni I really got back into reading, especially the books on spirituality and productivity. So, one of the ways of living that I got introduced to was the more spiritual, the Secret, the book The Secret, or, more Buddhism kind of books where you are trying to get rid of the ego and trying to get rid of suffering, and other books that really inspired me on a different way of living were books on productivity. So through books, I think I got to learn about how there were different ways of living, and I really liked the idea in the books on productivity, the idea of waking up early, because I always knew I was a morning person. I liked the idea of meditating. I liked the idea of, what else? Let me check. Yeah, I wanted to wake up early. Always thought I should be up before the sun comes up. I've wanted to give more than I take. I even kind of dreamed of going on some sort of pilgrimage where you find yourself through walking. The things that I took from multiple books on spirituality or productivity, the things I liked about them, they can all be found back in Islam. So waking up early is literally Fajr, praying Fajr. Meditating is praying. Going on a pilgrimage is going to see Mecca and doing Hajj or Umrah. So I think I have discussed most of the things that I wanted to say. So basically, I took my Shahada. I took it at home, just between me and God, because of no specific reason. I would also have gone to a mosque, but it was just that I didn't want to live another second not being Muslim. I'm very happy with that decision. It has brought me so many blessings, and it has been a beautiful journey to be on. I also kind of learned that, one of the reasons why I was postponing taking my Shahada was because I thought, I love everything Islam stands for, but it's just so difficult for me to read the Quran because, the way it's worded and how it's translated and everything, it's just so complicated. I just couldn't remember, or, I was trying to memorize the surahs, but I just couldn't. And it kept me from taking my Shahada because I thought this is way too difficult. But at that point, someone told me maybe the reason why you find it so difficult to memorize the surahs is not because they are difficult to memorize, but because your heart is close to understanding them, because it's still waiting for you to take your Shahada first. And yeah, I think it was a few days later that I took my Shahada. So anyways, so I thought this was going to be a 5-minute video, but I see I've been talking for forever. But yeah, this was kind of my story of the journey to this place I am in right now. And I actually wanted to say that there is, there's so much to reverting to Islam, I feel like, because there is this whole new world opening up. And it's a beautiful world, absolutely. It's also a difficult world in the sense that there's a lot that you still have to learn. There are cultural aspects, and especially, the environment that you are in as a revert that kind of has to adjust to you changing your religion. Even though it doesn't feel like you have changed, it just feels like you have found something absolutely beautiful. But I think that living as a revert, even though it has just been a couple of months for me, it does, come with quite a lot of challenges. beautiful challenges, but still challenges. So I thought, I really want to keep documenting how it's like and what I'm facing, the beauties and the difficulties, and how I'm dealing with them. And maybe, we can have this little community where we help each other out, whether you are a revert or a born Muslim. Alhamdulillah, we are all Muslims. Perhaps we can have this community where we share how we are trying to get closer to our deen. And all right, Alhamdulillah, I'm so grateful for everything, but I'm especially grateful that I can just share this story. Yeah. So thank you very much for watching. Please leave a chat in the comments, and